Hello and welcome everyone again to another video, and in today's video we'll be talking about the Weather Cup, the Great League edition. It starts January the 19th, 3 p.m. Central Time, and it ends the Thursday after, which is 26, also 3 p.m. Central Time. Weather Cup, it's a Great League format. This time, last season it used to be, it was Ultra League edition. So, what's the difference? I mean, it's still the same. Only fire, water, ice, and rock type Pokemons are going to be allowed or eligible to be used. And 1500 CP Pokemon because it's a Great League format. So, the thing about this cup is that ice doesn't beat any of these types. Fire only beat ice. Rock beat ice. And fire. Water beats ice because it resists ice. Beat rock, beat fire. So technically water is the best typing here. So potentially any Pokemon that has a grass subtyping is going to be huge because water Pokemons are very big in this cup, and grass also does super effective to the rock. And ice is not going to be used as much because it's just the weakest in those four types. So let's go and talk about the main Pokemons and the top Pokemons in this cup basically. So I divide them into leads, safe swaps, and generals. What's his lead? Pokemon that can have a bait, that do have a baiting move. They get to their baiting move fast, and they have the potential to be good in the two shield scenario where they can stay, where you can keep baiting your opponent until like you get a shield advantage, or you get the shields down for like, because you have a closer that doesn't like the opponent to have shields. Like as an example, something like Regirock. If they don't have shields, you just nuke, right? Same for Lantern. Lantern just doesn't like shields, especially if they are grass. Swampert, you can just earthquake everything, correct? So, the leads. Jellicent, I mean, Jellicent is not the best Pokemon at pressuring shields, but it's the best Pokemon that beats, it's the water Pokemon that beats other water. You can add it, you could also say the same about Pelipper, but Pelipper is not just the water that beats other water. It's the water, it's the only water that can beat grass as well. Okay? It's the only water that can beat grass, and it can beat the other water types, and it doesn't lose that hard as a flyer to the rock because you can hit them back with Wither Ball. It's not the greatest move, but it's a solid move. It's like, I think it's slightly better than Dragon Claw. I am not sure, but I think it's slightly better than Dragon Claw. What's than Body Slam? Tapu Fini has a unique typing where if people are running stuff like Blaziken, then Tapu Fini is going to be the ultimate answer to that, where you resist technically the fast move and the baiting move, where you can risk calling the bait because their fast move aren't going to add up that much fast. Tentacruel, I do consider it like as a water Pokemon that doesn't lose to water Pokemons because it has a poison fast move, which does neutral in most of the stuff in this cup other than the rock types and the steel. But steel isn't allowed. Well, if the steel has a rock typing, ice typing, water typing, or a fire typing, this is going to be allowed, correct? And Bastiodon, I am not going to be saying that Bastion is going to be bad because I know some people are going to try it. Like we all know Kelping is going to try his Bastiodon. Jonathan Kelly is going to play Bastiodon. You know, like there is some players that always play Bastiodon, right? So I believe they will make some teams around Bastiodon where like you're going to, like something like Bastiodon double. I don't want to mention that. I honestly don't want to see people playing Bastiodon double Razor Leaf, not going to lie. So I'm not going to say that it's actually you can do that in this cup because I am not gonna tell you that. I'm not gonna even try to popularize that or remind people that they can use it. Gyarados is like actually a bad version of Pelipper. Like Pelipper does everything better. Yes, maybe Gyarados is better versus stuff that are rock because you don't have a flying move, so fast move isn't resisted. But Pelipper technically does everything better. Where like the only thing where Gyarados would be better is literally the rock Pokemons. That's it. A-Slash, it's a steel Pokemon. You can beat Jellicent. You don't lose hard to, I mean, you beat the grass, but you lose to Noctowl. It's like it has some good use. That's why it's a good lead. Because if you lose, it's kind of an RPS Pokemon as well. But the thing about it is like it's in the lead because if they have a hard counter, you can have the option to swap out and not lose the game. Araquanid, One day Niantic will give this Pokemon Bubble and Crunch, and it will be good as it was intended to be. Now moving to the Safe Swap. Safe Swaps are Pokemon that benefit from Energy Lead, and they can flip losing matchups just by having that Energy Lead. And the best Pokemon I could talk about in this cup is basically Amaranth. Samaranth. Okay, what's the good thing about Samaranth? Sorry, my chat call it Amaranth, but it's Samura. It's Samurath, okay? What's the good thing about Samaranth? It basically has a Fury Cutter, so it's the fastest Pokemon to get to Hydro Cannon. It beats most of the water, except Jellicent and Pelipper, because I said that the other two beat all water. Well, what do you mean by that? There is no water left. Well, I'm talking about Swampert. What about Lantern? Yes, it's a water. Well, I don't consider it as a water Pokemon. I consider it most likely an electric Pokemon because it's viable as an electric Pokemon more than being water. So usually use Lantern whenever you need an anti-flyer that doesn't lose to water, because usually anti-flyers are ice, which lose to water. Toxapex. It's a very bulky Pokemon. It can flip swap if they don't have a hard answer. So this is kind of like part of those RPS teams. But again, it's an amazing Pokemon. It has an amazing stat product. It has an amazing fast move pressure. It has poison jab. It doesn't have a fast move. It doesn't have a cheap move, but it has enough bulk to not rely on spamming moves, because technically if you don't shield from a raccoon, you get a lose, because you cannot do more damage to them than what they do to you, because technically they don't take that much damage because of their high bulk, while they do enough damage to you because you don't have a Toxapex. Regice, it's a water that can beat other water except the Swampert. Lantern is a bit scuffed, but technically Regice, Regirock are like two of the best Pokemons in the zero shields, and if they have shields up, they aren't that good because they don't have fast move pressure. So if opponent decide to shield, they will most likely win the swap with lots of HP, which will end up you losing the game because you didn't chip them enough. And that's their main problem, is that if you don't get to enough charge moves, opponent will leave the matchup with like a very healthy Pokemon, which is always a bad idea to do. Poliwrath, it's a Pokemon that's very flexible. You can run Mudshot with Ice Punch, Scald, Dynamic Punch, or even Hydro Pump. Is it the greatest water Pokemon? No, it's just a safe Pokemon, but it doesn't beat that many stuff. Same for Lapras. Lapras is just a Pokemon that got power crept by Walrein, but I believe Walrein is not the greatest Pokemon in this cup. I believe the best ice in this cup is Obama Snow, because it's party grass, so technically you resist water and you beat other grass. Well, most of the ice do that. Well, ice versus grass is a scuffed matchup, because usually the one with energy lead win the matchup, because both do super effective to each other, while Obama Snow is like the fastest among them to get to the charge move that nukes. So that's like the main thing about Obama Snow. And the Pokemon I want to talk about is not Kendra, which is an amazing Pokemon and has decent fast move pressure and a solid safe swap, especially in the first 2 days where people are gonna spam stuff that are like very obvious. Like people are gonna use Pelipper, people are gonna use Cradily, Lantern, Obama Snow, where like something like what's the name of this? Kendra. With something like Kendra can benefit from the fast move pressure to flip the swap in some cases. And there is a Pokemon like Tyrant, which has Ancient Power, which is a rock fast move, charge move, that does super effective to the eyes. And it benefits from the Dragon subtyping by having a resistance to the water, where like you're not gonna get fast moved down by water Pokemons, and you have Dragon Claw and Dragon Tail, which is an amazing coverage. So I believe I'm gonna use this Pokemon. Why? Because it's good. I like it. Generals are Pokemon that do well everywhere. Doesn't matter where you throw them, lead, swap, in the back, they are good just because of their coverage in the meta. Plus their bulk or could be both, or just because they are spammy, like Swampert. Swampert is always good everywhere. You can lead him, you can safe swap him, as long as people don't use Ludicolo with Razor Leaf. And I am 100% sure that someone like Throw Tactical will make a video as soon as possible about this Pokemon, because Ludicolo, because people are going to be using lots of water in this cup, because this cup, as I said, water is the best typing among the 4 weather types: water, fire, ice, and rock. Like, water resist ice and do super effective to the other 2. So having something like grass, Razor Leaf, fast move is the easiest option to predict what people gonna be running, and you can RPS them and win. And a matchup like Pelipper versus Ludicolo, Pelipper lose that, even though you do super effective and take a neutral. And if they no shield your bait, you're pretty much gonna lose. Regirock, it's an Inuk Pokemon. I think it's the fastest Regi to get to a move among the other Regis. We have Regigigas, Registeel, Regice, and Regirock is the fastest one to get to a fast move. Empoleon's there just to be just like an honorable mention as a Pokemon that was good one day and never been good after, even though like a bunch of content creators were trying to say still play Empoleon, but it's a bad Pokemon. Whatever Empoleon does, believe me, there is something that does it even much better. Like, what's Empoleon can do better than Lantern? Nothing. Yeah, Empoleon has a better grass matchup, but you still lose. It doesn't matter. So these are like the main meta Pokemons. Now moving to the anti-meta Pokemons. Yeah, Samurant is an anti-meta and a good safe swap. Wow, very well played. Yes, a nice preparation. Yeah, you seem to spend lots of time on making these slides. And I see Kendra being safe swap and being an anti-meta Pokemon. Well, I spend like 6 hours making these slides. You know, like, you can never yeah, you can never be, you know, fully prepared and like have everything perfect. Sometimes like some stuff you just forget, or like you don't see. So anti-meta Pokemons: Blastoise, Shadow Blastoise, Seismitoad being a budget bad version of Swampert, Whiscash being an old version of Swampert before Swampert became just the best version of those mud boys. Caracosta, yeah, this is not Caracosta. Dude, I swear every time I make a video and I put this Pokemon, I just forget the name of this Pokemon. Carablast? No, that's the thing that evolved into Scav. What's the name of this Pokemon? It's not Caracosta. Caracosta is the rock water. It's the turtle, right? One day I won't remember. Please remind me what's the name of this Pokemon in the comment section below. Now new viewers be like, oh, this guy is making a video teaching us about the meta where he can't remember like the name of the stuff that are in the meta. Wow. Well, you're not gonna see this Pokemon, so I don't know the name of it because no one uses it. Shadow Probobass is a better version of Probobass. It's a spicy Pokemon. It's a very bulky Pokemon, but hits harder than the non-Shadow Blastoise, Probobass, and I think it beats Bastiodon. You destroy most of the water except the ground ones, and it has some good usage. It has some unique usage. I believe you're on Rock Throw. Spark is kinda monkas. Why Rock Throw? Because why? I don't know. I think Rock Throw is just straight better. Politoed is a spammy version, a Pokemon that was great one day and never been good ever since they nerfed Water Ball. A9 is a Pokemon you can use, but don't expect that much good result of it. Okay, I know someone like Jonathan Kelly would run like Bastion with A9, but believe me, it's not that good. But hey, Charmander can always RPS. Talked about Whiscash. Milotic is like a bulkier version of Gyarados. So if you like Gyarados, you only have two, you can just run Gyarados with Milotic. Slowking, the problem with the Slowking, and the good thing about Slowking, is that it can nuke, but it also only have nukes, and it has a slow fast move, so it's gonna take forever for you to throw a charge move, and usually you only throw one charge move. So if they shield it, yeah, your charge move is pretty much useless. Gastrodon, I mean, Gastrodon is one of the greatest Pokemons in Sinnoh Cup, but you can use it. The problem with this cup is that there is something like Cradily where you're gonna get fast moved all the way down. Coldfish is a Pokemon that you can use, but doesn't mean that you have to use. Now, these are like the main Pokemons that are around the meta. What about the best teams? Like, most of you guys are here to know what a good team to use. And this is a quick reminder, if you're enjoying the content so far, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can get all the new content we post, especially about those new top teams content, which most people like usually watch in this channel. So I do appreciate if you are a subscriber, and I do appreciate if you subscribed, because 80% of my viewers are non-subs. Now moving to the best teams, and the best team according to PvPoke, this is on paper. This doesn't mean that this is going to be the best team, but on paper, this is the best team on according to PvPoke. Let's go like since Cradily or Lantern. I'm not sure which one is the best one, is the rank one on PvPoke, but if you go choose, let's say Lantern, it's going to recommend the Cradily as a cover to Lantern. And then it's like PvPoke will recommend Araquanid as a third with those two together. So the good thing about this team is that it's pretty much flexible. You can lead any of those three because they don't have that many weaknesses. So as an example, you can do this, and if they have a Swampert lead, you go Araquanid, which is the soft answer to Swampert. And then if they swap out, you have Cradily to beat that later in the game. So this is basically like the best team theoretically. And you know, like something I am known for is top 3 PvPoke teams. What's the top 3 PvPoke team? It's Lantern, Cradily, and Obama Snow. Those are like number 1. Lantern is number 1 Pokemon in this cup. Shadow Obama Snow is number 2. Cradily is number 3. Why Cradily? Because it has a grass subtyping. So you beat the water, and you beat water, and you beat rock, and with the rock subtyping you beat ice and fire. So technically you're supposed to be good versus everything. So this is the team that usually most people would run, which is like the top 3 PvPoke. But the team I like, there is like 2 teams I will be testing out, and the first team is basically Obama Snow with Pelipper and Regirock. This is kind of an ABB team that is ABB weak to Lantern in the back. So I lead Obama Snow. If I see a Lantern, I stay in. If I don't see a Lantern, I go to Regirock to bait it out. So what does this team do? Well, you need to bait out the Lantern with Regirock, and then those two will be able to handle most of the stuff. Then Pelipper is going to be able to close the game. And again, you save your shields, 1 shield for Obama and 1 shield for Pelipper, or both shields will be saved to Pelipper. But there is another team that fits my playstyle, which is this one, Tapu Fini Double Dragon. Okay, why Tapu Fini Double Dragon? Well, this team doesn't have the best answer to Cradily, so you need to be aware of that. So if you see a Cradily lead, you swap to Kendra. If you don't see it, if you see something that you don't beat, you stay in. But to be fair, you could. The problem is that I don't want to be weak to Lantern as well, so you could also. Let's go back. You could also fit Obama Snow here, like here instead of the Kendra, and you run Tapu with Obama Snow and Tyrant. But it's up to you. It depends on whatever you see. Like as an example, right now I want to run Tapu Fini with Tyrant, with either one of those two. Which one I will be running, I don't know. I'm just gonna use the first for the first set. I'm gonna be using 1, 2, 3, and then from there I can change. I can maybe lead Tyrant, I can maybe lead Obama Snow and keep the other 2 in the back. So again, for those teams, pick something you like and play around it. Usually like the first 2 Pokemons are the core, and the third Pokemon is optional, like usually something that covers it. And I'm like someone who prefer ABC teams over ABB teams. Now moving into some ABB teams. ABB Double Water, which is basically like the best 2 waters in this cup. Swampert with Lantern and Cradily lead as the best Pokemon in this cup. But if some people start running Blaziken, then this is like the team to bait out the Blaziken. So this is basically what you do is you lead Lantern if people are using a Blaziken. So again, this is not the team you use, but this is a team you use if you see Blaziken. You lead Lantern, and if you don't see a Blaziken, you hard swap into Regirock. And I know some people will say like, I don't have Regirock. What's a good replacement for Regirock? It's Cradily, okay? Use Cradily. If you don't have a Regirock, just use Cradily. But Regirock is slightly better in the swap than Cradily. If you don't have a Regirock, use Cradily. Is the Cradily going to perform the same? No, slightly worse, but it's still going to be amazing. It's an amazing Pokemon in this cup, and it was the best Pokemon in the Ultra League version of this cup. Some people just, like run Core Breakers, and I believe those three are like three of the best Core Breakers in this cup, as Pelipper being the best answer to Cradily Swampert Core, and what's his name? Ludicolo being the best answer to Water with Regirock or Pelipper, like double Water teams, and Regirock being an answer to the Ice teams, and because usually with Ice teams you need to have a Lantern, so Regirock has EQ, by the way. It's a legacy move, so you need to use an Elite TM. Another team that I think is solid, but usually these teams don't work on day one, you have to wait. And this is like more of like three Pokemons that do like average 2 versus everything, so you pretty much play and you rely on opponent making a mistake while you being patient. So you run Toxapex with Ludicolo and Swampert. Technically there is no RPS Pokemon here. What about Toxapex? Toxapex is an RPS Pokemon if people are using something like Bastiodon, but overall it's a neutral Pokemon. Yes, it's a water Pokemon, it loses to Swampert, so that's why if they lead it, so this is technically you lose to Swampert in the lead, but if they lead Swampert or Lantern, you hard go to your Swampert because Ludicolo is the hard answer. So 1 poison, that's interesting. How about 2 poison, ABB double poison? If people started using, I don't know, some random stuff, and you need someone who like ABB teams, just run this team, believe me. Abomasnow with two poison. Abomasnow being weak to fire and fighting, and those two being water poison, which is the best answer to either fighters or fire. Because what's like the fighters or the fire gonna hit you with? Fire resisted. Counter fighting moves resisted. They have Stone Edge, well, that's a neutral, but you do super effective back. And if you're someone who hates Swampert, you can just pretty much use this team. You lose hard to the Lantern lead, so if you see Lantern, you just swap. It doesn't matter to which one of those, you just swap, and then you still have another answer for the Swampert in case they still have it in the back, or like you pretty much people don't lead Swampert day one. People would rather go for RPS Pokemons, but yeah, this is like if you hate Swampert, I believe this is the ideal team for you. Now, these are like the most teams I'm predicting to be like common in this cup, but here is something different. I'm gonna mention some teams that were popular in the Ultra League version of Wither Cup from last season, which pretty much should be the same this season. And the most popular team, I believe, was Swampert Cradily with A9, Tapu Fini with Cradily and A/, Abomasnow with Swampert and A/, Samaranth with Abomasnow and Politoed, and the team don't run this team. Okay, give him a follow though, he deserves a follow, but yeah, don't run this team. This team is just bad, okay? Don't use it. Shout out to Crimson19 from the Crimson19 stream. And yeah, thank you so much everyone for watching. This is the end of the video. I tried to make it as short as possible, but there is like lots of Pokemons and lots of potential about those Pokemons I felt like I need to mention. So yeah, if you like the video, make sure to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to follow me on these social medias on twitch.tv/YasserElite or on Twitter, twitter.com/elite_Yasser. This is the end of the video, and see you in the next one. Peace.